Hello, my name is Ethan, and welcome back to another episode of Path of Exile Scourge League 3.16. In today's episode, we do the Flawless Chayula, the 4-way Uber Unrelenting Legion, Maven, Awakener 9, the Feared, all bosses at the same time with the Spiders, 1030 Delve, and 30 Wave Simulacrum. I hope you guys enjoy the episode, and then stay tuned for the build guide at the second part of the video. Like the video to help feed my dog? Maybe, right? So... it doesn't sound that bad. But dude, 18 spiders on one try. Did you see it? This is the change. Also, we have to do this. There we go. This is huge. This is so much better. Oh my god, it's instant. This is so much better. Do you remember how much I struggled? I had 4 spiders or 2 spiders. Oh, no way. Bossing now, dude. So easy. Instant. Yeah, you're saying I could use the temp chains in this build instead of my enfeeble. I'm combining the enfeeble with our evasion to be super tanky. Left, right, up. I wasn't thinking of the damage increase potential from temp chains. I didn't think of that. Yeah. But of course, my build, yeah. I just tanked those things to the face. We have 18 spiders. Nice. This is sick. I got 18 on one cast. I still had an extra flask. I'm refilling it. Dude, the stacking with the hydrosphere damage? What the fuck? Alright. Up, right, up, left, right, up. I panicked. We got 20. Ah! Wow. This is sick. Way better. I'm proud of this one compared to the fucking clear setup. Yep. Oh, fuck. You... come on, she baited me, dude. I wanted to sit on her. Left, right, up, right, up, right. Oh, what the fuck is this? Alright. Making spiders now. We're sitting on her, we're stacking it. Nice. I like that. Yes, I like that too! Dude, and then there's no... it's so annoying. We tanked it. I won't have a Breachstone. He died so fast. Did you see that? Corpse. We got 18. That should be fine. We did our best. That was really fast. That's so much damage. I think he's just dead. Dude, that's actually insane. Awaken Chain. All bosses release at the same time. The Fear. How did I only get 10? There we go. I'm bleeding. I think bosses are just dying around me. I don't know what's happening. Spiders are fucking destroying them. What? Hey! Waves 28 to 30 in Simulacrum. Wave 28. I didn't look at it. What was it? We're fine. Does it have Chaos Res? Yeah, 55 Chaos Res. Nice. Whoops. Dude, this wave of loot sucks. Oh, here's Kosis. We got a bunch of bosses chasing me. Uh-huh. Ow. Quartz flask, yep. Okay. Let's kill this Omniphobia. He's a fool. He's a fool. He's a fool. Oh shit. I'm a... Quickly. Ooh, a megalomaniac. Just trying not to die. 7 bars of loot. I'm bleeding. It's not that bad of a bleed. That one's bad. That one's bad. That one's bad. I'm vuln. Alright. Looking good. You stop hitting me? Thanks. That's some good loot. Ooh, a voices. Wait, I just got a megalomaniac. And, oh, you even have the double dread march. Wow, yeah. You have everything, dude. You knew you're good. What the hell is this? 7? What the fuck is this shit? Wave 30. When I saw it, it blew my mind. It's like, oh, that's aura stacking. That's it. There you go. Find out how to get the aura effect somewhere else, but that's all your mana reservation. You just stack them. Easy. Smalls. So it's like instead of doing the Born of Chaoses, you could run Purities with aura effect, and you could have high LE reses. And you could be CI, and you could be ES with the Discipline and all that shit, you know? And you could just be have an aura bot. This is actually hilarious how much different this build is for this compared to my taunt do in this build. There we go. Got my spiders. Avoid ailment and maybe even be immune to these guys. Imagine. 100k armor. And he's dead. Gilded Abyss, Gilded Shaper, Rusted Expedition. Oh, how is it a 21-6? Uber Flawless Chayula. Instead, I'm gonna keep one of my extra worm flasks by making 10 corpses this time, and then I'll kill it and get 20 spiders, and I'll start right away. Okay, here we go. Wish me luck, boys. Yep, I told you. This build is actually completely fucking bonkers. It's beyond my comprehension, actually. Can I do 5 ways? Can I do 100 delis? Can I do 1800 delve? I have no like, I can invest so much more in this build. This is gold? Yeah, this is insane. Occultist is so fun. What is Occultist? Oh. Wait. Wait. Okay. What happened to all my spiders there? That was confusing. Saved. I don't know how I got my life flask charges back up when I had nothing killing, and then I don't know how I got the kills. That was a little confusing what happened there to help me get my spiders back up, but I'm not complaining. So you get the Ol's Vow, right? There we go. I thought I got it, dude. I thought that was it. I thought I got it because I heard the swing. I was like, a 4-way legion of the domain of timeless conflict with unrelenting emblems, the new Uber emblems. It's gonna pop! If you do maps with a lot of rares, you can run Behead. Oh no. That's fucked up. Easy egg! What else did I get? How many? I want to show the clear at 1030 delve, so let's start with just 2 spiders and run into the delve and see what happens. And so this is 2 spiders with the pops from Occultist. You can already see pop, 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 pop. The clear goes up. We're at 14, 16. It's popping, it's clearing, it's sick. I love this fucking build. Now we have to clear this encounter. This one's crit multi, it's pretty scary to be honest. And these things kind of hurt. So I'm pretty nervous. I'm just gonna run around back and forth back here. I hope you can't hear the vacuum. That would really suck. Bad timing. Super terrible timing. You can Frostblink in Cyclone, by the way, to make chilled ground, which we're actually missing the chilled in this build because of the skitterbots having the despair. So you can create more chilled ground again. I should just be doing that all the time. I'm kind of trolling, but that's 1030 delve with spiders. Thank you for watching the gameplay. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry if some of the clips were lower quality. They're from my streams, so I stream at a lower bitrate. But basically, I want to go through the build now. So the build, this is a race spider Arakali's Fang build. This is the main premise. This was in the game before, but the new thing is the Squire. So pretty much the concept is you get to raise spiders on kill, and you raise spiders based on getting 2 spiders per corpse consumed. So you have to make a bunch of corpses, and you put down this writhing jar, which makes 2 worms, and when you kill the worms, you consume the corpses and you get spiders. you can notice that I only got 16, so it counted as 8 corpses, even though there was like a lot. You can only have 10 corpses at a time with Desecrate. And then all 10 have to be nearby you, and if you put all 10 nearby you, then they kind of delete each other sometimes, so it's really hard to get 10 perfectly to get all 20 spiders in one go. But either way, that's how you would raise the spiders. You can also do it while you're doing the Cyclone thing, and it still kind of works. I have 2 setups for it, but basically then you have your raised spiders, and they're linked with all this stuff. So they have Awaken Melee Phys, Awaken Multi-Strike, Awaken Void Manip, Divergent Melee Splash, Divergent Withering Touch, and the Awaken Minion Damage. This shield is new this season. It makes all of these sockets support the main hand, so you can actually make a 7-link spider, because you get all 6 of these supports on the spider that's from the weapon. It's actually insane, because last season we only had like a 4-link basically, and you had to put melee splash in it, and last season people didn't know about using Hydrosphere to double stack a boss with a melee splash. Apparently this creates another target, which then they splash each other, and it doubles the damage, which is massive for the melee splash. So yeah, when you combine that with the new shield and everything, this is massive deeps basically with spiders alone. Spiders are your carries now, and it's an insane build. So I think the first question, I just want to go over this first. People will say, is this build playable without the Squire? Yeah. Arakaali was playable last season. It's just that obviously 3 extra support gems of 44 more damage, the extra Withering Touch, and the potentially like Awaken Melee Phys, the 54% more damage, and the Intimidate. Intimidate does help because their attacks, it doesn't help that much because they don't have a lot of average hit damage, but they have like good poison. But either way, giving them 3 extra gems is massive, obviously, but it has a huge price tag, so obviously you can play this without it. You just won't be able to do as much stuff. It won't have as much damage, but it is playable without, and none of these items are mandatory, except for, in my opinion, the Fang, which is like 1x, and the Gravebind. I think the Gravebind is really good. And I do think that Profane Proxy Curse with Occultist is really strong when you run Skitterbots. Because of the pops for Profane Bloom to curse the enemies for you automatically. Like that's really strong package. And other than that, you don't need any of this really. You could build the build differently. Now that I slightly mentioned some interactions, I want to just go over a few. So like I mentioned already, we use the Writhing Jar interaction to get the spiders. That's our kill whenever we want. That's a free kill. And then we raise the corpses. That's really cool. Second thing, I'm using Rizlatha, Soul of Rizlatha, to get Life Flask, gain 3 charges every 3 seconds if you haven't used it recently. So you can notice that this just went up. And this only consumes 16 when you have it 20% reduced charges per use. So this is really good. So this means in boss fights you can get back your flask charges even when you don't have anything to get kills from to gain charges from. In this build we went Occultist because we don't need any of the Necromancer minion survivability. So the Necromancer Ascendancy is kind of a waste. Like the +2 doesn't work on the Race Spider because this skill doesn't get affected by the +2. It's not actually a gem that gets... It's not a minion gem that gets affected. It's on the weapon and it doesn't even know about it. And then you don't need any of the minion survivability, so you would be running weird stuff. And it's just better probably to be Occultist because then we can scale the Chaos. And then we scale the Hinder, the Withered, and we also get the explosions from cursed enemies, which I comboed this with Profane Proxy. There was like 3 or 4 ways to do the curses. You could Blasphemy support, which makes a curse into an aura, and you can use the aura to curse all the enemies around you. For 50%, I think is the mana reserve. It's quite a bit. There was also a way to do temp chains with Blasphemy and a Shaper Ami to go for free, but I didn't want to have to go temp chains aura. I'd rather go Despair, and this one I did Profane Proxy to make the left Skitterbot turn into Despair Curse, and this I like better than the Chill. And then this makes it so all the enemies explode, and then this is Despair always up instead of Temporal Chains always up, and this is a bigger DPS boost, I think. And then I still get a second curse through Enfeeble, because when you're a cultist you can apply 2 curses, and then you actually have increased effect of your curses, and the curses apply malediction, which is 10% reduced damage and 10% increased damage taken. So it's pretty insane. You want to basically always have a curse up, and then we can have 2 with enfeeble, and we hit the enfeeble with our cyclone. And the cyclone always hits because of resolute technique. People were worried about that, and then you can just cyclone through the enemies. You can cyclone around, and it automatically triggers our Desecrate, Flesh Offering, and a Hydrosphere, which the Hydrosphere doubles our damage on bosses. And then I was going to also show that the move speed is still 60 with Cyclone, so this is still faster than a Stampede boot with Cyclone. Pretty cool. One other way I was going to try to curse an extra curse in this build was Despair Fractured on the ring. I could also go the Hunter Ring Influence mod for Despair on hit, then hit it with the Cyclone, but this is automated with Profane Proxy, so I always have explosions no matter what, which is really nice. And then there was also, yeah, I could have done Despair Curse on hit on the glove instead of Enfeeble. So in this build I'm running Determination, Tempest Shield, Malevolence, Skitterbots, Vitality, Defiance Banner, and Grace. To fit the auras in the build, the ways we did it in this is an Enlightened 4 linked to the Determination, Malevolence, and the Tempest Shield. Then we have Awaken Unbound Ailments, Skitterbots, Grace, and then Defiance Banner, and a Vitality here. To make the Grace cost no mana, yeah, I used the All's Uprising, Grace No Reservation. This was cheaper than the Determination one. They're both 50%. Those are the ones you'd want to make to 0, and so because the Determination isn't 0, I put it with the Enlightened, but the other one can be over here. So this is the 10%, this is 35 with the extra little bit, and this is just some flat mana. These are the biggest auras, so put them with the Enlightened, and then we also have this extra small that's like 5x for the increased effect of the small passives, which makes these 8% increased mana reservation efficiency, so 24%. And we also have Charisma, and we also have the Sovereignty wheel, 8% per, with another 12%, and then 15%. It's amazing. So that's all the mana reserve. Oh, and then I also have, I actually have some jewels up here with 2%. You probably need a couple of those as well, to be honest, because we're pretty low. But we do make the Cyclone life tap, so it doesn't cost us any mana, and we only have to be able to afford 16 mana, 28 mana, 15 mana, and so it should be fine. Should be good. It works. One more thing I should mention in here, because I was thinking for the viewers who don't want to have to spend the extra to get the extra mana reserve on jewels, I didn't take the extra Determination mana reservation here, so I believe that with this extra 25% for 1 point, this would be good enough, and you wouldn't need the jewels. That should help a lot, because the Determination is still 23.78, and so reducing it 25, yeah, having 25 mana reservation efficiency is really good. The auras and curses are a big part of this build, to be honest, guys. That's the entire helmet links, all the glove, this ring, and then you just have our mobility and molten shell. It's literally like, this is what we already do, the anomalous phase run, duration, and Val molten shell. And then we have this is different though, Divergent Frostblink, boys. Apparently chat in my stream pointed out that you can Frostblink while cycloning, and you can't do this with Flame Dash, it cancels it. So this is completely bonkers, because that's mobility with Cyclone. I love it. And it also applies chill, then it can also reduce the cooldown, so nice. The chilled is nice because we're giving up our chilled on the Skitterbots. So this is huge. And its extra mobilities were even faster, so it's not just 60 move speed. And then Stampede starts to look even better, because Stampede has like cooldown recovery rate for movement skills, so you could just be frost blinking like crazy, and the damage isn't that bad on it either. Anyways, and then I guess because I've gone through all of the links except for the Spider and the Cyclone, I'll just do those now, since it makes sense, it's in the order that we're doing it. Desecrate first in your 6th link for the Cyclone. Divergent Desecrate gives you a 60% chance to spawn an additional corpse, level 1 or 2. You should do 1, but I just leveled it up once and then stopped leveling it. Okay, then we have Hydrosphere 20. I didn't do the alt quality or anything special. You should probably have the increased area effect one or this increased pulse frequency, but I found that this is fine. Cast channeling, you can go awakened and it lowers the cooldown. Like it'll have every 0.33 or something instead of 0.35. But it's more expensive and you don't need the quality on the normal castle channeling. Then a 2020 Cyclone gets area of effect and yep. And then we have life tap, so all of this costs life instead of mana. It's so sick. And then Divergent Flesh Offering. A lot of people have been discussing this. They say Spirit Offering, Spirit Offering. Honestly, it's the same. It's like the same, guys. This adds fat damage, 61, and then the difference is the move speed. We're comparing res versus move speed, and honestly, the move speed's better. You don't need the extra chaos. Phys is extra chaos. The attack speed's just as good if you build around it. I built around it, so it's really strong in my build. I think they've built around other builds to build around the Spirit Offering, and then they need more attack speed, but I don't need as much attack speed. I just need damage, and it's easy. Okay, so that's my Cyclone. So it's Desecrate, Hydrosphere, then Flesh Offering in that order. It matters the order that you put it, because that's how it triggers it. It'll do Desecrate, then the Hydrosphere, then the Flesh Offering every 0.35 seconds. If you switch it up, then it'll do Hydrosphere, then Desecrate. You see how it's weird? You could do that, but as long as the Desecrate comes before the Offering, that's great. Then we have, for my spiders, so the spider can be supported by the things in the weapon. And then this build is actually a Squire build. It's really expensive, and yeah, so pretty much you have Awaken Melee Phys, Awaken Multi, and Awaken Void Manip in the Spider weapon, but this would be different if you only had the Spider. If you only had the Spider, yeah, I would probably go Divergent Melee Splash, Divergent Withering Touch, and Multi-Strike as my 3 gems, but because we're able to go 6 gems because of the shield, if you don't know, the shield allows me to support the main hand with my shield links, so it's a 6 link on top of the spider, so it's a 7 link, and then so we're able to also get 8% quality to support its socketed gems, so I put the Divergent, like the alt quals here, so it's 121% more damage to surrounding enemies instead of having less damage to surrounding enemies, like less AoE damage, and then we have Divergent Withering Touch, 8% extra, and then 5% extra on this minion damage. We could go on alt quality version for the ailments, but I don't think the ailment hit is better than the 5% more damage on awaken minion damage. I've looked at it. I think just the flat damage is better, even though in POB the calculator, because the poison is 8 seconds, it says that it might be more. I don't think we actually count the full 8 seconds of the poison. So now I do Awaken Melee Phys, Awaken Multi, Awaken Void Manip, and then Divergent Melee Splash, Divergent Withering Touch, and Awaken Minion Damage. It gets supported by all this, and it's sick. These are what I recommend. And you could do, instead of Awaken versions of some of these, like Awaken Multi, Awaken Melee Phys, you can do the Divergent or alternate quality where they get like attack speed, and that works. That can be decent, especially then you can also socket it in the shield instead of this awaken minion damage, and then that would also get the attack speed quality, so it gets boosted, which really shows 8% quality to socketed support gems with alt quality gems in the game is still very powerful when they're not auras. I want to explain the clusters. They're pretty cool in this build. So in this build, we don't need minion regen, minion leech, minion health, a lot of any minion elemental res or any minion chaos res, because these spiders are immune. I seem to have not mentioned that until 28 minutes into the video, but I'm sure everyone knows that. So pretty much it means that half of renewal is useless because the regen it doesn't matter. Like I'm talking about the notables from the large cluster for minions. So renewal has regen. We don't have any crit multi or any crit chance from like the power charges from monkeys or any crit scaling really. So vicious bite is less good. Renewal with the double damage doesn't work on poison, and then also the feasting fiends gives you leech minion life, both are useless. So it's basically 10 minion damage, which is actually worse than just a normal minion passive when you do increased effect. 35% and minion attack speed. So pretty much in the spider build, we're not a minion build. We're just straight up minion deeps. So we have minion attack speed, minion damage with the increased effect. And so it's a 12 passive minion large with the increased effect and minion attack speed. And this is like 15x, dude. It's crazy. 12x just for the base, not even crafted. And honestly, you could go for an 11. It's fine. Seriously, if it's that much cheaper for an 11, I recommend 11, and if you could get it already crafted, that's even better. it's huge. These clusters are massive for the build. They carry it because without it, basically you have 200 minion damage and a lot less attack speed, and with it we went up to 500. It's because you don't have the wands in the build, and you don't have like all the normal stuff you run for flat minion damage. Like we'd have the flat minion damage from the helmet enchant for the minion that you choose. You can't do that for Race Spider because it's not a gem. So you have to use like an offering enchant, which is really weird and worse. Then you have the spider. You have you don't have the weapons. You have to use a fang and a shield. So you can't use two convoking wands with like 60 to 90 minion damage. You can't use a two-handed weapon with big fat minion damage, right? And so you're forced into this, losing all your minion damage there, and then getting minion damage on your rings might be tough because you have to do other stuff in this build. You can't get minion damage on the glove because we're Gravebind. There's all these places where we've lost flat minion damage where we have it in our other builds, and so then you have to make it up in the cluster, in my opinion. This is where you find all your minion damage. You get carried by the clusters in this build. There's just not enough on the tree that's good pathing or anything. It's just, there's not. And then I take the extra grave pack for the accuracy side thing. Your spiders don't have enough accuracy, so you actually need this for the accuracy, yeah. Then I have 2 clusters of the same thing. Minion attack speed and the increased effect. The small is increased effect of the aura mana reservation. I mentioned this in the how I fit the auras, but I just wanted to mention that's the important thing. Increased effect of the small, and then it gets 8% increased mana reservation efficiency of skills, and this is 24%, and it's crazy. And it's a 3 passive. This is 5x. I figured while I'm going through the jewels, I should mention the Amanu's Gaze. So basically, this is a unique jewel, and it's like 5x, and it drops from Abyss in your maps, and I think maybe the Abyss boss in the Delve, that I might be wrong about, but the one, I think it's definitely Abyss in your map. And so this is for like also 5x just for this, and this one gives you 6 dot multi for your minions for each Ghastly jewel affecting you, so you want 5 because it can stack up to 30%, 6 per 5. So you don't do more than one of these, and you don't use the Darkness Enthroned. You could use it to just fit 2 more Ghastlies in your build, but you don't use like an Amanu's Gaze in there to get more than 30. You can get it up to 30 faster, but so you need 5. You run this, and then 4 more. So I mentioned this in my previous video, but life, minion damage, and chaos, minion chaos damage. You can also do physical damage. You can also do minion attack speed. You can also do minion attack speed if they've killed recently. There's a bunch of mods. You can also get a prefix of armor or prefix of evasion or prefix of mana for extra stuff to look for. And then I went all of the jewels the same. So life, minion damage, chaos. Life, minion damage, physical. Life, wait. There's one more missing. This one. Life, minion damage, chaos. And then the minion chaos is useless because the spiders don't need chaos res in this build. This was just an extra stat. And then this one, I went for blind. The minions, these spiders cannot taunt, but they can blind. And so in our build, our things that why I want blind is we run grace. So we have, where is it? 19,000 evasion rating, 70% chance to evade. So then the blind should lower the enemy's accuracy rating by 20%, which means it makes our evasion rating better. Without needing to increase our evasion, we've reduced the enemy's accuracy, which should be good, like we've done before. We don't have Dreadbanner in this build, but we are Enfeeble. And Enfeeble also reduces the enemy's accuracy, which I think is really cool. So there's some synergy there. Again, why not? If we can fit blind, it's one stat, and then this should be permanent blind, everything. It's amazing. It's super sick. Those are my Ghastly jewels, and that's the 4 that I run. So 1 blind and pretty much tons of damage, and then life on every single one. Then the other jewels, while I'm at it, we did a Quickening and a Fortress, and these are mana reservation efficiency of skills and Corrupted Blood. It'd be hard to get one of these Ghastlies as a Corrupted Blood. I could, obviously, but it'd be investing more. My Watcher's Eye forehead, doing that as a Corrupted Blood. But I went Corrupted Blood on this because it was cheaper than the Fortress Covenant. It was only like 5x. And then my Watcher's Eye is the phys damage reduction and armor while affected by determination. So in this build we have 50,000 armor, ridiculous physical damage reduction. It's sick. And those are all my jewels. That's sick. Okay, I'm gonna start it off with this one. What's up with the body armor? What can we do here? So the main thing, this is really sick for many reasons. We run determination, so this amount of flat armor gets scaled up, and we actually, like I showed, 50,000 armor. This chestplate is a lot of that armor. 22,000, so pretty much. You notice that's decent. Okay. Then the second thing is you don't take any damage, extra damage from crits, and so your animate guardian, you don't have one in this build. So you don't have a garb of the ephemeral, which makes nearby enemies deal no extra crit damage. Where yes, you don't have that, so you have to run a brass dome to not get crit, or we could run Solaris, but this isn't consistent because the first hit is still a crit, and then the ones after it for 4 seconds are no crit. And then if you don't take a crit for 4 seconds, it can happen again and again and again and again. So you keep getting chanced where just no crits. So pretty simple. You could obviously go for double corruptions on this. What would we even really need in this one? Maybe max res, because like you don't really need to level up the gems in the chestplate in this one because I did a Cyclone 6 link. I like my Cyclone 6 link because of the life tap and how good this feels. You could. A lot of people did auras in the chestplate, and that's viable. But I don't like doing the auras in the chestplate because I want to be able to 6-link the Cyclone with the life tap. It feels way better because I'm a Cyclone build. Since we're on Arakali's Fang, we can actually Cyclone, and Cyclone is sick, and then Cyclone with Frostblink, and Cyclone with all this synergy. Because we don't have Trigger, making Offering happen, and making your corpses happen, all this stuff happen all the time is really annoying. And this was the best way, in my opinion, to do it. So then it all comes together like this. It's sick. Now I want to talk about the helmet. So we did Ancient Skull in this one. So there's like 3 things about this. The reduced minion life doesn't matter because the minion survivability isn't a thing. The minion move speed's actually nice. We could even use, honestly, another 20 to 50 minion move speed in this build, and it would feel even better. I wouldn't mind 20 to 50 more. So like if we could have Ravenous Horde all the time, but whatever. Minions, so what they get is minions have 50 increased crit strike chance per maximum power charge you have. And so how many power charges do we have? Max. You can click on charges. We have 3. I thought about it. So there's another one here for 2, and there's another one here for 2. And if you come from this side, it's actually only 1. So I noticed this endurance charge from the other side, but now I notice the power charge is the same from the other side. That's really cool, actually. Which means there's also one over here, right, for 1 point? Yeah. I tried it. I literally just gave myself a free power charge on POB. It's basically useless. Don't worry about it. So don't worry about that. It just means that your minions have a little bit more crit than none. Well, they would they have some, but I mean, this helps them a little bit. It's like they have some of the... This is not even 1 power charge, basically. If you added 1 extra power charge to yourself, 1 extra maximum, this would be equal to having a host chieftain giving 1 power charge to your minions. Yep. Then the next one, minions can hear the whispers for 5 seconds after they deal a critical strike. And so hear the whispers means they gain 50% increased attack speed, 50% increased damage, and they don't listen to you, which is actually good in this build because we don't care. We're not a minion build, and so we want them to just go do their own thing and kill for us, right? It's kind of like aggressive, but can be even better because they can kind of off-screen and go crazy. Like I was leaving them behind, and they were just killing and not getting off of a boss because they just keep critting and they just keep hearing the whispers. That's insane. They can just consistently do it, and then when they're not hearing the whispers, they follow you. And they teleport, and so it's actually just all around. This kind of is like having aggressive spiders, or minions are aggressive, but without having to use minions are aggressive or use Feeding Frenzy, which we're missing Feeding Frenzy in the build. There's a lot of missing stuff of like free damage, by the way. There's like the Spectres, the AG, the Feeding Frenzy, all the minion stuff. This is a non-minion build. And so how this doesn't actually have the downside of the reduced life, where you couldn't really use this in a normal build because the minions having less life thing is really shitty. but this is actually an upside in this build. It's so cool. What a unique helmet, and I figured this was the best opportunity to use this. Yeah, all around, really cool. It made me think about the Feeding Frenzy, though, a lot. Very neat helmet, though. Then I go into the ring, Profane Proxy. We've used this in the past to automate curses. This was when we didn't like running an Animate Guardian because we sucked at keeping it alive, and it would die all the time because we would go to 1500 Delve and we didn't understand how to keep it alive. We got a lot better. Our Animate Guardian can live. But in this build, I didn't want to bring minions. I just wanted it to be a spider build. So I went full spider. So in this, I was like, well, you could automate a curse with the Profane Proxy instead of the Despair with Blasphemy using mana. So I did it with my Skitterbots, and I like this a lot. And I find it really good for the pops and the clear. You could see it in the vid, in the highlight. Oh, I should put some gameplay. I have to include some gameplay. Go back and do that. But this is the Profane Proxy. It changes and when it's the left ring, it changes the chilling Skitterbot aura into the curse. And so we have Despair. And our second curse is on the glove through curse on hit Enfeeble when we do our Cyclone. I screwed up my stuff. Cyclone will curse Enfeeble. And we can do both because we're an Occultist. We don't need to get an extra curse anywhere. We're good, and we don't have to worry about an Animate Guardian and his curse limits or anything. Then the Gravebind, it says nearby enemies killed by anyone count as being killed by you. I find the range on this is really short, but it kind of, to be honest, it's perfect for this build because the spider range kill thingy for the corpses is short, and so this being short, it just matches it. They're both short. If this was bigger, then I think the Gravebind would feel short in comparison, but they're both short, so they kind of feel good together. They're both short shit. But it's good. You need it. I think you need it. I think it helps the consistency while you're running mapping, because instead of having to go get a kill yourself, the spiders can kill for you without needing to poison, and the poison doesn't always get the kills, because the poison is only 15% of the damage or something. It's not, or let's say half the damage, okay, in this build specifically. It would normally have only been 15, but we scaled up the poison quite a bit, and it might even be a little bit more than the 50 because it doesn't even count Animu's Gaze in the POB. But then the poison is also 8 seconds, so can you really count it as the top DPS? But anyways, I find this glove to help the consistency of keeping your spiders while you're running and mapping and Simulacrum and all that shit. Glove is great. I'm going to do the Mageblood last. Then we have the boot. So I did this really cool thing in this build. Our elemental ailments, I don't have immunity to all of them yet. But basically, I could have done... I did cannot be frozen on the boot with a craft. You do an unveil on the boot for move speed and cannot be chilled. And then I got life and then chaos res. That's all I needed. The lightning res is extra, as you can see. I got minus lightning res on the chest plate that my other one, so that helps me there. But yeah, it says cannot be frozen, cannot be chilled, and then I used the Tempest shield to be immune to shock. In this build, I did an All's Uprising, Grace No Reservation, so that the Grace doesn't cost any mana, and I did this one because it was cheaper, and I think it's actually slightly worse because we don't need the enemies to have increased flash charges gained because we're a Mageblood, but this does help, I guess, for the worm, for this shit, for the worms, the Writhing Jar. Then we get increased evasion, dex. The dex is nice, actually, because it helps us hit the 156 or 155 for the goddamn Grace. This is insane, and it could be even higher if you took this to a level 21 Grace. We didn't. And then life and all attributes, and I anointed charisma. I like the mana reservation. It's really good. I don't really know what else I would anoint. That's probably one of the best anoints I could possibly do, because I think mana reservation is still one of the most annoying things this season, and the fact that this is the solution, giving up a jewel socket and you have to use the side to do the smalls. It's possible, but man, and you have to give points. It's really strong, but this is kind of disgusting after what we've done in the previous seasons, to be honest. And then it turned out that I just needed a Chaos Res and Life Ring, and the extra strength wasn't necessary. So I just used my old ring because it had the extra strength, which makes up for the life. So this is a Life Chaos Res with extra suffix for Endurance Charge. Pretty nice. And yeah, I just reused the old ring because why not? I have them. And then we had to use this ring. I had an open socket. I was using this ring for the Despair instead. You can swap this instead of doing the automatic Despair through the Skitterbots. You get back your chilling Skitterbot, and now your Cyclone despairs. but it's not as fast as the skitterbot. The skitterbot runs ahead of you as you're running sometimes, and will run into the enemy when you're cycloning. It can run ahead of you, especially when there's enemies. It's really crazy how fast the skitterbots are. You see how it ran ahead of me, and when there's enemies, it runs to them. Yeah, so it can be actually faster. It can make the pops happen in front of you and off screen, and it's really sick. Yeah, you could actually even use the other version of the skitterbots where you get the move speed, and we don't even have to use unbound ailments because it's only the shock technically. And you could go double curse with double profane proxy, and then you're an occultist, and everything's cursed, dude. It's actually hilarious. Now finally the Mageblood. So we have Mageblood. I enchanted it for evasion rating while you phase. You get this from the Eternal Labyrinth of Potential with dedication to the goddess. You can enchant your belt. I went for this one because we phase. It's really sick. And then you can also run these 4 flasks because they're permanently on, these magic flasks. So we enkindling orb them all up to 70% increased effect. Then I get increased effect on them as their prefix, all of them. So this is 95% increased effect, and these flasks are ruby, sapphire, topaz, and quicksilver. So high move speed, and then less lightning, cold, and fire damage taken, and all of my elemental reses in 3 flasks. And then the extra mod on each of them is life regen. So this one, 688, 470, 218 off that. Then we have the evasion rating 7,000, and the armor 16,000, and the move speed. It's all of my move speed. It's 100 move speed on a single flask. So it's actually disgusting. This is a mount, and more. This is like WoW, and you play and you have a mount. You had to give up your belt slot. That's why that you have to have these to make up for the, yeah. Because if you didn't, you could have like a fat Stygian Vice with the extra jewel, or you could do a Darkness and Throne double Ghastly jewel. There's a bunch of options. There's also an honorable mention. This is the honorable mention. Might make a video about it. There's one big downside to it, so that's why I'm like, it's not completely broken, but it is really cool. So you can use this chestplate to make all the offerings get automatically trigger as long as you make corpses. So in this build, you're constantly, like, let's say you don't run the offering because it can automatically trigger on the chestplate. So let's say you're just printing corpses. You're a corpse printer now. If you use that chestplate, it will consume the corpses and make the offerings affect you also. So it has Mistress of Sacrifice, and it does all 3 offerings in one. So it's 3 gems and its trigger, and you can actually support it with gems in the chestplate with like increased duration, maybe life tap so it costs life instead of mana. There's a bunch of things that you can do to support these offerings. If you do cast while channel, it breaks it completely, for example. Then as you can see, the chestplate also has avoid ailments and also chaos res and life. So it's really fat. It's a really insane chestplate. We could combine this with an avoid ailment boot that I've done in my Carrion Golem and my zombie build. So you could be immune to ailments with a glove, and then you could also get the stun avoidance, and you could also do the boot with bleed and poison immunity, so then you could become immune to like everything again in this build without using the brass dome, but you'd have to deal with crits. So maybe you do a bone helmet with +3 minion life, and you run an animate guardian, and you run a specter, and you run feeding frenzy, so you have all these buffs and all that shit. And you could run this with all the offerings. And you could run necromancer. You don't even have to run the Mistress of Sacrifice. But anyways, point is, this with a Mageblood doesn't work because it's only one offering at a time. You can't have all of them affect you at the same time. You need Leash of Oblation to make them all affect you at the same time, but it gives them reduced duration, which is why you have to increase the duration. So then you can have an offering of each type. It's almost like a mini Mageblood at home, boys. Look, it looks the same, chat. It's a Mageblood at home. Jesus Christ. Yep, you just get your spirit offering. There's all your LE res and your chaos res, right? And the flesh offering is all your move speed. Yep, just like a mini quicksilver. And you have the bone offering for the block. I don't really know how you get that through one of the current flasks, but dude, that's actually kind of sick, right? You get the regen, move speed, attack speed, damage, res. It's a lot of shit, but now I'll tell you the big problem. So I've told you how cool it is and how this is actually like a Mageblood at home. And now why it's a super Mageblood at home is because when you enter a new area, you don't have any of them. Let's say you enter a boss fight. You're trying to recover a boss fight. Let's say some guy said he bricked his boss fight. He has one portal left. You have to come in there. You don't have any of them. You won't get the first one for 5 seconds. Then you get the second one by 10. And you get the third one by 15. And actually, it's a trigger or. And so I think it's random. So it might try to trigger the same one that you just did. It's like a 1 and 3. I don't think it does them in order. It might do them in order. I would hope it does them in order, but it was hard to tell because I wasn't using Alicia of Oblation. It was deleting them, and I didn't test it for very long. But basically, either way, it would still take 15 seconds to get all of them. And if your build needs the Spirit Offering for the res, you can't rely on the Spirit Offering for the Elemental and Chaos res. And so it makes it a lot worse. If it was all of them all the time or something, somehow, instantly, that makes sense. But downsides are bad, yeah. I just wanted to mention this really cool chestplate, though, that if you didn't have a Mageblood, you could technically mess around with this and automating your offerings, and then it would actually make it feel better because you don't have to eat your corpses. You can just have more corpses, so when you try to make the spiders, that's what we do for the bossing anyways. Made it to this part in the video, Pantheons are Lunaris for chain immunity, and the extra phys damage reduction is really nice. Solaris, if you were not running the Brass Dome, you want the crit immunity from this, and then if you want, you can run stun immunity in Brine King. If you didn't need the chain immunity from the Lunaris, maybe this in bossing for like Maven. Then I use Rizlatha because this is just... Honestly, if you run out of these charges, the Writhing Jar, and you don't have this, you have no way of summoning spiders, and it feels unplayable. So I highly recommend Rizlatha, but you can mess around with other Pantheons if you have another source of getting life flask charges every second. Yeah. Just in case it wasn't clear before, I'm just now finalizing the build guide. It's Void Beacon, Withering Presence, Profane Bloom, and then Malediction. Reduce the enemy's Chaos res, or they have minus Chaos res, then you get the Wither on nearby enemies, and we get Chaos res. This one, the Explode, is disgusting, chat. Oh my, guys, this is so build defining. The explosions with the curse and the scaling with the spiritual aid to do 500% minion damage. Dude, it's huge. We're chunking bosses with random mobs exploding next to them. It's hilarious. And then Malediction with the double curses, huge combo. And then it could be Despair on the glove instead, and you could be more expensive across the board. For example, I'll give you guys now a bunch of things you could upgrade in the build. Like I'll make a version where you have a bunch of crazy shit and show you what is possible in the build. But basically, imagine a chestplate with the Avoid ailment. You could have increased offering, maybe increased effective auras. You could have phys taken as an element. You could have a bunch of options, right? There's a bunch of things you can do. You could have the +1. I thought of quality of socketed support gems now because of the shield. It's really funny. But ailment immunity would be massive. You could even corrupt it, etc. We could have had corruptions on the Brass Dome. And then you didn't have to have the Profane Proxy. I mentioned you could have a curse on hit ring, and then you could have double curse. We could also blasphemy the curse instead. You could also do the Shaper Ami for the temporal chains blasphemy, and then have the Despair Glove. That's more expensive, like 50x. You could do the double a Maven Orb boot, where it's like avoid ailment, avoid stun, avoid bleed, avoid poison. Like you got everything, and then you could still get the Ashling Unveil and the life. Like it's disgusting. Final thing, the build actually has 2 setups, so this is probably like one of the most important things. And if people miss this, well, they should have watched the video. So pretty much, I have 2 chest plates. I have this one with a 5 link, so we can swap it, and we become Life Tap, Cyclone, Desecrate, Hydrosphere, Castle Channeling. When we lose the Flesh Offering from the main link, we put Frostblink in this extra slot, and we put Flesh Offering over here. So then we cast Flesh Offering manually, and this is for bossing. So the main reason is so then you can make tons of corpses, and when you go for your spiders, it's way easier to get a ton, and you could see this in the gameplay. When I did bosses, I switched to this setup. Well, I did it for the Maven. Not all of them had this setup. Basically, if you see me casting the offering, then it was this setup. If not, it was the other setup. and so the difference is being able to make the corpses consistently is really good for bossing, because you want to get all your spiders up instantly, and having 20 spiders is better than an automated offering in bosses. I can guarantee that. Nice. Hope you guys enjoy this extra part. Definitely use the swap for bosses. Use a 5-link, don't use your offering in the boss. It's the same thing as just taking out the offering, but the difference is you want to, I still want the extra socket. This is like an extra unset ring. It's huge. Thanks for watching my spider build guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed all the gameplay. We smashed the Unrelenting Emblems, Timeless Legion 4-way, fucking insane. We beat the Flawless Chayula. We beat all of the things. I got my 36 challenges. Spiders are pretty fucking cool. You could even, scale this up further. Corrupt your chest plate, maybe Scourge some stuff, go even better Jewel. You could invest more in this build, but I'm happy with where the build was and where I took it and what the build is already capable of in the current state. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys enjoyed this build guide as much as I did. It was really fun actually going through some of those things and smashing them, like the Delve and the Flawless Chayula. The pops and the clear on the Occultist is one of the shining things of this build. I really like Profane Bloom explosions. This is insane, and the clear from it, and the Simulacrum clear speed, getting 5 to 6 bars of loot every time, actually insane. Either way, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for hanging out. If you guys did enjoy the video, then do like the video. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next episode, and subscribe for more build guides. Bye!